Now, of course, there are better camera bodies out there, and there are other bits of equipment that could possibly make my photography better. But then I remember, sometimes less is more, and sometimes you don't need to upgrade or move across. Sometimes you should just save the money and spend more time investing into the actual photography rather than the gear. So I'm looking for my setup in 2025 to be quite minimal. I don't want any clutter. I don't want a lot of bloat making it hard to make a lens selection or a camera selection. I want the setup to be purposeful, and I want the scope to be creative. This is how I'm going to achieve it. So starting off with my main photo camera for the year, it's going to be none other than the channel's Fujifilm Xs10. Now, this is the first ever camera that I brought, and I've had it with me since day one of this photographic adventure. It's lightweight, it's compact, and it has all the photo features that I need. In all honesty, I was looking to sell it just before Christmas and possibly pick up the X-T5. However, I've decided that I can't let it go just yet, and I'm going to continue with it for the next year. The 26 megapixels that the Fujifilm Xs10 provides is more than enough for the street photography and a little bit of travel photography when I'm out doing it. And the size of the camera is what really draws me in. It's really simple to use and it's a no fuss camera. Next up, the new addition to the team is the Fujifilm Xpro1. Now, I was umming and ahhing about whether or not I should pick this up, and it was a choice between this or the Xe1. However, I'm so glad that I went for the Xpro1 because now I have it in my hands and I've been out with it a few times. I can truly say that it just feels absolutely amazing. I love going out to shoot with it. It makes me happy, and I think I'll be keeping it forever. It's a 16 megapixel bad boy, and it has the first X-Trans sensor in from Fujifilm, which brings the magic. Moving on to the lenses, Fujifilm 18 f2. This lightweight little lens is an absolute joy to use. The 18mm f2 needs no introduction. It is a tiny little lens. Yes, it may be soft. Yes, it may be a bit slower to autofocus than other lenses, but it's an absolute joy to use when you're out doing street photography, as it is tiny and it makes my cameras so lightweight. It's quite discreet, looks like a little toy, and yeah, that's what I'm going to be running. Next up, we have the Fujifilm 35mm 1.4. Like I said, I'm keeping it old school. I'm keeping to the originals. I really love the way they render, and I'm going to mostly be using them this year as I have them. I don't want to sell them, and it'd be a shame just to keep them on the shelf. The 35 again needs no introduction. It brings the Fuji magic. It is an unbelievably great lens that I have grown really fond of. It renders pictures absolutely beautifully, and that 35-50mm focal length is an absolute dream to use. Third lens in the lineup will be the Viltrox 85mm 1.8. Now, if you haven't already, go watch the video which I talk about longer focal lengths in street photography. I'll put it up here. But this longer focal length really inspires me. It is one of my more creative lenses that I like to use. It slows my photography down, and I really feel like it pushes the bounds creation for me. The last outlier street photography lens that I will be using sometimes is the Samyang 12mm. Last year I went out for a photo walk with the 12mm in London, and I was absolutely loving it. It gives you this really wide, interesting view, and being a manual focus lens, it's definitely more of an experience when you're out with it. I really like the results, and I want to play around with it a little bit more, as I liked the frames that I was getting from it. So those are the lenses that I'm going to be using. I'm going to try and stick to those two camera bodies for photography, and then I will come back in the year and assess and see what else is out there possibly. So yeah, that's the minimal setup for 2025. I won't be straying from it, as I'm just going to practice with what I have, and I'm going to try and forget about the gear and focus on the actual photography. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Are you adding anything to your collection? Will you be sticking with what you have? Love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next one.